The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Yourself tight, he'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start it as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys at the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast, and to Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey. Thank you guys for your continued support. I appreciate it. I really do. I don't have anything clever or witty to say this time. I just do. So anyway, the world's in its usual state of disarray. Things are just massive shit show all across the board, and as per usual, things are just moving along at the usual pace. Every week I tell myself this isn't going to be a political episode. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something new and exciting and keep it fresh. And then the politicians continue to cock up our fucking country and make things just pathetically hard for me to talk about anything else, because all that I can think about and obsess about and dwell on is the utter shit show that is the political movement in this country. Now, outside of the standard bullshit, which is the constant and utterly ridiculous application of dual standards by the leftists to literally every single aspect of our lives, and I'm saying that across the fucking board. The constant whining and complaining and the stupidity I see on social media coming out of a lot of different people. And there is a political representative at this point who has once again, and the fact that this keeps being tried and failing and still keeps happening, has put forth a movement or a attempting to get a law passed calling for like $1 trillion in reparations to black people by the federal government. Now, barring for about 30 seconds why I think this is inherently fucking retarded just across the board. People who were never slaved taking money from people who were never slave owners for shit that never happened to them based on some principle of I look a certain way so I deserve free shit. Now, this particular reparations resolution was put forward by Summer Lee and Anya Presley, two utterly worthless race-baiting sacks of shit in Congress who have literally accomplished nothing of note in their time in office other than to be race-baiting assholes who wants to constantly scream about how, oppressed and taken advantage and pissed upon they are. And I find the entire concept utterly fucking abhorrent, personally. But the entire victim mentality and general entitlement of elitist political figures who have, despite all the supposed racism and historical social injustice and institutionalized racism and inherent trauma that affects every black person's psyche in this country based on the horrible things that happen to people that have been dead for hundreds of fucking years, and somehow that entitles them to free money and free property, despite putting aside, like I said, entirely for a second, how utterly fucking stupid I think the people that keep pushing for this shit are. And particularly these two fucking ass clowns who are, like I said, literally done nothing besides be race-baiting sacks of shit since they got into office. But they, completely choose to ignore the fact that actually reparations were already paid out by Abraham Lincoln almost 175 years ago or whatever it is. It's late. Doing the math is beyond me at the moment. But yeah, no, the reparations were already paid out. 40 acres, mule, all that good shit. Yes, it literally already happened. It was paid out to the people who were entitled to receive it. And the people that are still whining and bitching about it today are simply uneducated, mouth-breathing morons that are pandering to the lowest common denominator. And frankly, it makes me fucking sick. The not only the fact that people are still pulling this bullshit in 2025, but the fact that there are so many fucking retards out there who seem to think it's fucking, right or justified, or somehow they deserve something for nothing. It's a bunch of whiny, greedy, selfish motherfuckers and a bunch of whiny, pandering, retarded motherfuckers who count that the people that they are pandering to are more retarded than they are, who will instantly try and label you, a racist or a bigot or whatever other fucking horse shit they want to for pointing out simple fucking facts. And ultimately, if they really want to be mad at somebody and say they deserve something because their ancestors were sent here against their will, well, first off, you need to look around and see how well you've done for yourself in spite of fucking where your ancestors sent you. Because if your ancestors hadn't been sent here, you'd probably be living in squalor somewhere right now if you existed at all. It's just the simple fact of the matter is you're in one of the most advanced countries on the planet. I can't necessarily say in all ways, shapes, and forms America is the number one in the world anymore because, simply put, we're fucking not. Our educational system is in the toilet. We're like 25th out of the fucking countries out of the civilized, industrialized world, when we used to be number one until the introduction of the Department of Education. But that's not what I was talking about. That's a whole nother fucking rant. There's episodes where I've already talked about how the DOE is utterly fucking retarded and should be dismantled and broken up and sold off into fucking oblivion. But no, so these two race-baiting shitbirds decide to try and put forward the resolution saying all black people need a check. That's, obviously I'm paraphrasing, but again, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to happen. It's more leftist retard pandering and grandstanding in the names of a fucking cause that should have been put to death fucking years ago. Because, this divisive horse shit doesn't benefit anybody except for the people who benefit from the division. The checks are never going to come. Nobody's going to pay you for shit you had nothing to fucking do with. Get over it. Move on. Welcome to being an adult. It sucks. Get fucking used to it. And so, yes, that's one of the things that has been pissing me off this week. And now the next thing that came along is, this is more a commentary on a lot of things. For those who don't really pay attention to these things, I'll do a quick recap. Former director of the FBI, James Comey, over the weekend posted a picture of some seashells I found out while on a walk. And they were shaped into the numbers 8647. Now, there's a whole lot of implications behind this, and a lot of people have talked about it, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on it. 86 has been used in a lot of different ways to mean get rid of, or something is gone, or something is out, or somebody needs to be taken out. It's like mob slang for whacking somebody. You take them 80 feet away and 6 feet deep. That's how you hide the body. In the service industry, people are 86'd. If from bars, by bouncers, by bartenders, you're cut off. You're done. That means you need to make them go the fuck away. In kitchen talk, my area of expertise, 86 means you're out of something. It's gone. There is no more of it. 47 is obviously an allusion to 47th President Donald Trump. So the former director of the FBI, who was fired by Trump, actually, he resigned ahead of being able to get fired. But, tomato, potato. He knew his days were done. Post a picture, says 8647. I thought it was cute. I didn't arrange them that way. I just saw it on the beach when I was out walking with my wife. And this narcissistic, sociopathic motherfucker proceeds to take to the news after, instant backlash. She posted the picture on Instagram. It was reposted everywhere. Social media, X, on Instagram, people commenting on it. What kind of horseshit is this? You're threatening the sitting president's life. You are calling for an insurrection. You're calling for assassination. It was a bad play from somebody who should fucking know better. Now, this idiot immediately takes to the news and tries to start painting himself as the victim. Well, people are being I just saw it. I didn't make it. I didn't understand the implications of what it was. I was just posting a picture and, anything except for taking responsibility, saying, I have a problem with this fucking guy. Now, this is the same guy who was behind, the Russia collusion bullshit, behind saying Hunter Biden's laptop was disinformation. All this horse shit comes back to this motherfucker. And in typical U.S. governmental parasitic fashion, the motherfucker cannot take an ounce of responsibility for what he did and immediately starts trying to paint himself as a victim for what is essentially boiling down to, calling for threats of violence against the sitting president. And this has really been a move straight out of the left's playbook pretty much for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, really. I mean, they have been getting progressively more comfortable with violence, which I have talked about in previous episodes. And, the mentally unbalanced that are naturally drawn to the left's, policies and beliefs are a lot more inclined to be easily manipulated into doing shit like this because in their deluded little fucking minds, they think it's justifiable. And that kind of goes back to the whole thing I was talking about a couple weeks ago about the right doesn't have a winner's mentality because they don't know how to capitalize on being in a position of winning and doubling down on it. There's a whole, I need to hold the moral high ground. I can't behave in the same manner as the people I'm, trying to combat against, which is a loser's mentality, even though at the moment they're in a position where they should be winning because they basically rode the wave of Donald Trump to getting Republican majorities in position on everything. And they, to date, have been an utter fucking disappointment. Now, completely disregarding for a moment the fact that they've only been in session for something like 30 days out of the last, 110. The Congress takes more time off than fucking anybody else on the planet and still gets paid a full-time salary with lifetime benefits, all of which needs to be remanded. They have done nothing to codify any of the movements that Trump has made in his efforts to fulfill his campaign promises. They are going to lose the election. I've been saying it. If they don't start pulling their fucking heads out, all of these sitting Republicans are going to be primaried. They are going to lose the House. They are going to lose the Senate. They are going to fucking lose. It's what they're seem bound and determined to do, is to be fucking losers. And now, fortunately, some of Trump's staff that he's got in place is actually holding up to things pretty well. The Kash Patel and Dan Bongino team at the FBI, they're going after pedophiles. They're actually arresting people. They're making a difference. They're working an uphill battle against a corrupt system to try and let the good cops be good cops and to get rid of the fucking bloat and the waste and the fraud. And, it's not going to be an overnight process. I've been saying it forever. Now, they did recently release something saying, based on the evidence they have at hand, Jeffrey Epstein actually did kill himself, which I'm still disinclined to believe. I'm a lot more inclined to believe that the documents were falsified, the official records are horseshit, and there's more to it than what's going on. But they have said, based on the information that is available to them and the information that is at hand, that Epstein actually did hang himself in his cell. So, again, I don't buy it, but I believe that's what the official records all say, and that's the only information they have available to them. I really doubt the people involved in that particular thing were, so foolish as to leave a mountain of evidence saying what actually happened, just in case. I mean, you don't run global conspiracies without knowing how to cover your tracks at least a decent amount. That's how you keep it where it's, the tinfoil crazy hat motherfuckers are the ones who believe in this shit, but nobody else does. You don't leave evidence laying around for when you potentially lose a position of power to find yourself under fucking scrutiny. I mean, that's just common sense. I'm not even a fucking megalomaniacal dictator or ruler or fucking corrupt politician, and I know that. And speaking of corrupt politicians, circling back to the whole race-baiting horseshit thing for a minute, in a slightly more local thing for me, at least. I mean, it made national news, which is hilarious to me for a multitude of reasons. But one of our local gems, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, literally the fucking what Chicago elected when they said, hey, Beetlejuice is the worst fucking mayor you guys have ever fucking had. And this cocksucker showed up and said, hey, hold my beer. Apparently, he's now going to be under federal investigation because he went on the news and made fucking comments on something where I didn't get the full context of it. I was too busy laughing. He went and did some publicly broadcasted interview, which made the rounds on the internet, where he was touting how many black people he picked for positions in his administration and how many contracts he gave to black people because, and I quote, we are the most generous people in the world, end quote. Now, I'm saying this with a massive amount of air quotes on it because not only is it blatantly and patently racist to say this and to do this, it is also a federal fucking crime. So Brandon Johnson and his stupid, arrogant, self-assured bullshit that he thinks somehow is going to make him score points. Oh, by the way, he's holding at a 6.6% approval rating for the city of Chicago and his job as a mayor. And, he's basically fucking the jelly-filled fuck muppet of my governor's little hand puppet. Although with, the blackety blacker than black y'all bullshit. And so he just went out and said this shit very publicly, like, hey, I'm really proud of myself for violating all kinds of fucking federal laws and specifically touting publicly the ratio of black people to anybody fucking else in my administration and every position and every contract I've hired, because black people are just inherently better, which, again, racist as fuck. Don't care how you try and spin it. Just because, no, there's nothing wrong with being proud of our people or whatever other horseshit that people try and defend this bullshit mentality with. No, you're being fucking racist. Now, if I were to say I'm proud of white people and I only hire exclusively white people and I only give contracts to white people, they would have fucking crucified me. Any other mayor of any other ethnicity would have been crucified immediately. And he's already finding out the cows are coming home to roost on this one. So fuck you, BJ. I hope you're looking forward to... you should be, if the fucking people of Chicago had any kind of fucking spine at all, you'd be getting dragged out of office in fucking cuffs, which is exactly what you fucking deserve. You racist, worthless, moronic sack of shit. The fact that you still try and talk about how you're an educator and all this other bullshit, you were bought and paid for by the CTU. You've given them more money that they don't fucking deserve because they can't produce a fucking child that can do anything at grade level. And, bloated administrations making six-figure salaries. Well, the kids can't fucking read or do math or, behave like civilized human beings in any way, shape, or form because Chicago teachers' unions provide worthless fucking teachers with a blanket security that it makes it next to impossible to fire them for failing at their fucking jobs. Again, this is a local thing, but it's made national news, particularly with Pritzker doing everything in his fucking power to try and somehow paint himself as a viable candidate for president, which that is a pipe dream of a fucking functionally retarded Nepo baby who likes to talk about how he's a real billionaire, but the only reason he's a billionaire is because he was handed money by his family to get the fuck away from the family interests in business because he's an incompetent fuck muppet. Yes, it was convenient for them to stick him into fucking government so he could get them a bunch of NGO contracts and a whole bunch of our taxpayer dollars to further stuff their coffers with. But at the end of the day, he's still a fucking retard. And he's not even in contention for the Democratic nod in 2028. I mean, I believe AOC is the lead candidate as of all the current polling shit. And like I said, his name didn't even show up in the top 10. So, yeah, JB, keep pissing your money away running around the country because, honestly, I think you do more good for the citizens of Illinois by not being in the fucking state. Bloated, worthless sack of shit. I fucking hate that guy. And speaking of cows coming home to roost, Congresswoman, what the hell is the broad's name? LaMonica McIver. It took me a minute for that to click. I don't know why. I don't know if you guys remember, but last week when the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, was arrested for attempting to storm an ICE facility, there were a couple congresspeople there, and one of them being a freshman congressperson, LaMonica McIver, who was caught on video assaulting ICE agents trying to get into this facility. Now, her immediate defense is they were there to conduct oversight, which is blah, 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 and I talked about this already. Oversight does not mean you get to walk where you want, when you want, how you want. And more importantly, oversight does not can include assaulting a fucking officer going about the course of their duties. So today, the U.S. Attorney Alana Haba, I can't say her name, but they officially filed charges against this worthless sack of cunt. And literally immediately every leftist asshole, we stand behind her, and she released a statement, I was there performing the duties of my office of providing oversight, and same line, doubling down on the same horseshit. And it perfectly sums up these leftist retards and everything they do and say and think, and their complete inability to realize this shit doesn't work anymore. The self-righteous grandstanding is not getting them the popular support they need to keep pulling their bullshit. So instead of just owning up to it like an adult, saying something stupid like, hey, I got caught up in the heat of the moment. It was, I was very, trying to put some sort of positive spin on other than I was there committing oversight. And I'm not saying positive spin would have helped because she still assaulted a fucking officer. And I really hope they throw the fucking book at her because we're looking at like $100,000 in fines and up to a year in jail. I hope they put her in the same fucking facility that she was trying to storm so she can see what the people that are in there are actually fucking like. When it stops being a pandering point, maybe she'd actually have a different stance on things. But again, that's just me being me and thinking things my way. Now, that being said, like I said, every leftist fucking talking head on social media is, we defend and we release statements and blah, 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 blah. Again, they don't learn. They don't care that nobody wants to hear this. We were there fulfilling our oversight responsibilities because, we can't just let these people's rights be violated even though they're here illegally, and we're going to make sure they're getting their entitled due process. Their entitled due process is being told, hey, guess what? You're getting deported. Oh, you can't prove you have any kind of legal right to be here? You're done. There's your due process. They are entitled to exactly the same amount of due process they went through to get here in the first place, which is none. There is a process to legally enter this country. If you don't follow it, you don't get to stay. That's how it fucking works. So I have zero sympathy for this cunt. I really do hope they throw the book at her. I hope they expel her from Congress and they have to put her in jail. That would make me very happy. There's actually already been a precedent set about that. And, I think they should stick to it and say it applies to the leftists just as much as it applies to anybody fucking else. I mean, these people, and literally every one of these assholes that is out here making posts and statements and releasing official statements defending this fat cunt, every single one of these assholes were the same ones that were like, no one's above the law when they were going after Trump and his supporters on horseshit, trumped-up bullshit charges. And I'm saying this again as no great fan of the orange-dusted bastard, but as somebody with a modicum of common sense, if it's good for you, it's good for every fucking buddy else. None of you are special. None of you are above the law. None of you are deserving of special treatment or preferential treatment. It really kind of sucks when the shoe's on the other foot and you don't realize that enough to tone your fucking behavior down because you think this stupid grandstanding bullshit is still going to work for you. And honestly, I think it's very telling about the kind of people the left embraces when they are too fucking stupid to realize that very basic principle. The weapons you use against your enemies may be turned against you when you are no longer in the position of power. That, again, very common sense kind of thing. I'm not even in one of those positions, and I can understand that. I can see that without somebody having to spoon feed it to me because I'm not a fucking retard. But these people that drank the Kool-Aid and made their dues and pledged their vows and sold their souls for these fucking positions apparently are too fucking stupid to have the common sense to figure these things out, without somebody having to spoon feed it to them. And unfortunately, they're also arrogant enough where they won't listen to anybody, and they're going to continue to fuck up and keep doing what they're doing, keep shooting themselves in the foot. And I can only pray that this leads to the downfall of these fucking worthless motherfuckers and that, sense and sanity can return to this country and save it before it's too fucking late. But I'm not holding my breath these fucking days, And to briefly touch on something else that came up in the past few days, Pete Hegseth did another conversation, another interview. Honestly, I really like Pete. I can't help it. The guy's very no nonsense, no shit. I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to let... You can try and talk all the shit you want about me. You can try and cancel me. You can do whatever you want. I don't fucking care. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to support my fucking people, and I'm going to do what I'm here to do. And he has, he's been doing a lot of things I agree with, changing the standards for any MOS when you're in the service. It's not male standards and female standards. There's one fucking standard. He's not saying, women can't serve in these positions. He's saying if you want to serve in this position, you better be able to meet the necessary physicality of the fucking job, which makes perfect sense. Having divergent standards, well, it's really nice for everybody's fucking feels. It's not real good when you look at the purpose behind a fucking standing military, which, again, the founding fathers warned against, but that's a whole nother conversation. But the point of having the military is to have the most lethal warfighters available. It is to have security through strength. To project that strength, you need to have the most dangerous and deadly warfighters that are capable of delivering on the intent of being the most dangerous and deadly warfighters on the fucking planet. You can't do that when you are lowering standards for the field personnel to accommodate because women are not physically capable of the same shit as men. I'm sorry if that hurts your little feels, but that's just the way reality fucking works. So reinstituting universal standards across the board for positions and different responsibilities and different MOSs is a perfectly reasonable and sane thing to fucking do if you're trying to do what actually the position of the Department of Defense is to do, which is to have the most lethal fucking army on the planet so we are protected as a nation. It's really not a complicated concept, and the fact that people are still giving Hegseth shit for this just sickens me because it shows what a bunch of brain-dead, washed-up, worthless, weak-minded, low-testosterone motherfuckers this country has actually become. But he's making great strides to backpedal on that, and people were coming out saying, well, what about this and what about that? How come you're saying you're enforcing the transgender ban in the military? Well, look at it like this. This is just me going off on my chair. This is not Pete's talking. This is Aaron's talking. They will wash you out of the military for being asthmatic. They will wash you out of the military for being diabetic. Both of which are much simpler to treat and much easier to manage than hormone replacements or, the ongoing constant medical necessities of being a medically transitioned individual, not to mention the mental state that goes behind being a person suffering from gender dysphoria for the very minuscule amount of people that are legitimately suffering from gender dysphoria, not just fucking people who want to identify as something that they're not so they can try and somehow feel special, even though there still be the same worthless, soulless, valueless husks, no matter how they identify. The core of who they are or lack thereof will not change just because they change how you refer to them. They think they're striving for completion without actually understanding what's lacking in the first place. And that's why they're never going to be happy. They're never going to be content. And they're not the kind of people you want fighting a fucking war. You don't need emotionally imbalanced, unstable motherfuckers out there at the point of the fucking spear. And in a very, it's a very tone-deaf little commentary that I forget who it came from. It was one of those, like, we're trying to be poignant, but it's like, they had some trans individuals out there, they're like, oh, well, we're too strong for sports, but we're not strong enough to be in the military. And it's like, no, you mentally imbalanced fuckwit child. Men are not supposed to be in female spaces. You're physically stronger than a woman. That's last I checked, war was not a gender-biased division. It's not there's not a ladies' league in fucking war. There's war. So no, you're not too strong to be in the military if you're competing against women and dominating them. You're still a failure as a fucking man, and you have no business being out at the pointy end of the spear. And, again, I'm not phobic. I hate that. Oh, you're transphobic. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid of the trans people. I am a person who says reality is what reality is, and no matter how you feel about it, reality doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. Reality is not subjective. Truth is not subjective. There is and there isn't. And no matter how much you wish and hope and whine and bitch, it's not going to change to accommodate your fucking feelings. That's not how reality fucking works. And lastly, to get to the big fucking Fisher-smelling elephant in the room, the final fucking boss for this week, which somehow still ties back into the overreaching theme of the left not wanting to take responsibility and not, what's good for one is not good for the other. Because, again, people that cheered when January 6 people were robbed of their due process and thrown in fucking prison, people that cheered when bad things happen to conservative individuals that they don't agree with, people who literally, as Donald Trump was still bleeding out of the side of his head from an attempted assassination, people complaining that the assassin missed, people calling for further assassinations. These are the assholes who want to sanctimoniously try and go out and say, we are the good guys, we are the righteous ones, while exhibiting some of the most vile and disgusting behaviors on the planet. And if you apply those same standards to them, they will fucking try and light you up because they are fucking hypocritical sacks of shit without the basic self-awareness to understand that they're hypocrites. They don't even see the hypocrisy because they're too fucking enamored of their own fucking fecal matter to realize they're full of fucking shit. So, speaking, and you may be wondering why I'm so scatologically focused on this part. It's because we're going to talk about Sleepy Joe. That's right, fucking Joe Biden. Brandon is in the news again, and to the surprise of none whatsoever. And this is, part of it aligns with all the current accusations about his mental state during his time in office and people calling for investigation into all the pardons he auto-penned, because there's literally zero fucking way a person with cognitive decline approved. I think it was the record prior to Biden's administration was Bill Clinton signed something like 177 pardons in one day or something like that. And in one day, they auto-penned over 2,000 fucking pardons under Biden's watch. There's no way he approved all of those. There's no way, even if he was at the top of his game, he couldn't have gone through, read every single one, and approved on it. So the auto-pen signatures are starting to look like they're going to invalidate those and revoke all those pardons. And honestly, there's a lot of people talking now about, well, how long did this cover-up go on? How long do people know he was incognizant and blah, 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 blah. And they're beginning to question the validity of literally everything that he has done and comparing signatures on every single appointment, every single fucking bill signed, every law passed, basically calling everything over the last 4 years into question as to its validity. And that could have massive ramifications. I mean, replacing KJB off the fucking Supreme Court alone would be worth the fucking price of admission if that fucking case came up. And then you've also got like Jake Tapper's book of like, oh, Biden was slipping and we had the wool pulled over eyes, which for those of you who may have forgotten because you have the short-term memory of goldfish, Tapper was one of the most vehement and just ridiculously outspoken Biden defenders for the vast majority of his presidency. He was the one, attacking people for making fun of Biden's stutter every time he fucking, had a Roomba moment and wandered off in the middle of a speech. It wasn't a stutter. I'm saying this is someone who actually has a stutter. I've overcome it, obviously. I don't stutter too often in these podcast episodes. I don't stutter too often if I'm speaking to someone in person, but if I get particularly worked up or if I start losing my fucking temper, I also lose my verbal control and my stutter and my little vocal tick becomes more pronounced. It took me a long time to get over it. I worked hard at it, but you know what? It exists. I can't really say if it was a stutter and that's what people were making fun of him for, I'd say, you know what, it's not something he can help. But there's a difference between having a stutter and just fucking blanking in mid-sentence. And I'm saying that as somebody who blanks in mid-sentence sometimes too. I mean, I'm definitely not as sharp as I used to be, but I'm also leaps and bounds ahead of where Biden was while he was supposedly running the most powerful country in the world. And we all know it wasn't him. We all know somebody else was making the calls, whether it was Jill Biden or the deep state or Obama or whichever particular flavor you believe, because I'm not going to question anything at this point that anybody could put forward. You could tell me there were reptilians that lived in the fucking carpet in the Lincoln bedroom and they only came out at night and they whispered into his ears, and I would believe that more than I would believe Sleepy Joe was the one at the fucking helm. But I digress. So Tapper's book comes out. All these accusations are flying. Everybody's questioning his competency. Everybody's, starting to dig into this and starting to poke and prod at the validity. And pretty much as anybody could have predicted, this news drops, huge bomb. Biden's got prostate cancer and it's metastasized and it's in his bones. And well, we have to stop, arguing about Biden. And immediately the media and the talking heads and every self-righteous leftist prick out there who was actively complaining that Trump didn't die and all this other horse shit, all these self-righteous pricks who had no problem wishing death upon his primary political candidate are now saying we have to show Joe some grace and we shouldn't be having these conversations about his mental state while he's dealing with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and it's metastasized to his bones. So he's basically at death's door. And while he's fighting this battle, we need to just have some class and dignity and not bring up that he was an absolutely incompetent sack of shit for his entire tenure in office. And there was no way he was mentally sound enough to be the president, but all of these bills still got passed with his auto pen on it. And it's all okay. And the ironic thing about this is, well, there may have been a little brief, bipartisan, like, oh, we're sorry, Joe, it sucks to hear you have cancer. I don't think it really had the desired effect, because, again, this shows how out of touch with reality fucking leftists in the mainstream media are, because this also immediately goes into, like, well, how did he already have it metastasized to his bones? Cancer doesn't just automatically come on that fast. So that means he was probably suffering from cancer while he was in office. Cue a video clip of Biden at a speech where he was talking about how he and so many other people had cancer, and little bits out of the leaked the interview they had that basically proved he was incompetent, that the White House had sealed. Little bits and pieces of that have been leaking out too. And, one of them, he mentioned having to have a surgery, and people are now referencing them when that emergency flight out of Las Vegas happened as probably being tied into Biden's pancreatic cancer issue. Because, again, unless it's because he has turbo cancer from being fully vaxxed, the likelihood of this being a recent development, and we just found this, but it's already metastasized into his fucking bones and he's dying an agonizing death. The narrative doesn't exactly mesh up. So now people are questioning if he was this fucked up from cancer for all this time, on top of being a fucking, tapioca-brained sack of shit. Basically, they're saying this invalidates his entire presidency, and instead of garnering him the sympathy that he thinks that the left somehow thinks they're gonna garner him some grace on his way out the door with this fucking Biden's got ass cancer. Well, instead what they're doing is they're causing people to look even deeper into the things, and other things that now are starting to make sense that didn't make sense at the time. Like, maybe that's why he was back home every other fucking week and sitting on the beach recovering, because he was going through chemo, and that sucks a lot out of you. Who fucking knows? I mean, completely disregarding, the body doubles and all the other horse shit that can make you tell he was, it wasn't him making public appearances. Yeah, well, and the thing about it is they're saying, it's like, oh, well, we just caught this. It just happened. Well, it's kind of funny how he's the president. He has access to, top tier medical attention on demand. There's no copays. There's no waiting for processing. There's a staff doctor in the fucking White House. There's a live-in physician. And his physician coming out on a regular basis saying, oh, no, his health is fine. I examined him, and he's up to snuff. He's as sharp as a tack. And all the other horseshit lies, that are just being put to paid by an announcement that he has a few months maybe left to live because he's got this cancer that's now in his bones, and they're saying it's, responsive to hormone treatment and da-da-da-da-da, and all these other indicators that say it's something that should be manageable if they caught it right away, but it's already in there. So either they've been treating it for a while and it's aggressive, or whatever. The whole thing stinks on fucking ice. And I guess since most of my audience is of a certain age, that's a kind of a timely reminder for all of us to get our prostates checked. If you got a slow stream, or if it burns too much when you pee, or if you're pissing blood, or if you're shitting blood, go get your butthole checked, guys. Butthole health is not a joke. I mean, I joke about things like that a lot, but yes, get your prostate checked if you're over 40. Get your colonoscopies, get your colon guard, get your shit in a box and mail it off to get your test results, get the blood work. Do what you got to do. Talk to your doctor. Don't fuck around with your health. Don't pull a Biden. Don't fucking all of a sudden have mysterious asshole cancer that appears out of nowhere and instantly goes into your bones and gives you a death sentence, because we don't have boundless, limitless, costless medical care that the taxpayers are going to foot the bill for. So, we got to take better care of ourselves. And I guess that's where I'm going to put a pin in it and say, for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.